Good evening. It's Friday the 24th of April. It's about 7:30 in the evening. It's a beautiful evening, so I thought I'd start the podcast a little bit early. Usually do it Saturday morning. Quite a historic day today because I've actually upgraded my working from home internet connection to such an extent I can work fully from home now, and I just thought that if coronavirus goes on, and given my age and my potential full retirement date, this could have been my last day at work as a location. So that's something to think about, isn't it? The reason why I started early isn't Grace is quieting down now, but she's just been barking at some of our far neighbours. Seem to be having a bit of a gathering tonight, and I think that sort of reflects the state of the country at the moment. There's still a bit of Brexit bad feeling, but I'm sure basically half the country would like to get back, reduce the social distancing and get on with it, and the other half would very much like to intensify the lockdown, terrified of any passing of the virus and any possibility of further death. And I sort of suspect if we took a vote on it, it'd probably drop out at 49% one way and 51% the other way, and I won't try and predict each way, but I think it does show what a divided nation we are, and on any issue we never really want to see the other side of the story. Welcome back to Bully on Saturday the 25th of April. Another beautiful day, a little bit of a nip in the air at the moment, but I'm sure it's going to be lovely during the rest of the day. So we're in lockdown. I'm not sure if it's week 5 or week 6, but anyway, we're in lockdown. It's been an interesting week. I think I've said before, I've been tracking the rolling weekly average of deaths in the UK, and you can definitely see that plot begin to go plateau and go over the top now. So I'd estimate from where we are at the moment, we'll probably get up to something round about 26,000 deaths on the deaths in hospital on the reporting that we're getting at the moment. The overall deaths in the community, that figure's somewhat higher, so where's that going to roll out? Probably about 30,000 to 34,000, something like that. It's been generally higher. So that's the first wave, the deaths from the first wave, and then it's really how we exit from the lockdown on this first wave that will tell us that whether there'll be a second wave, how people maintain their discipline could lead to a second wave. But that's what we're waiting to see now, really, in the UK. How will the lockdown restrictions be eased, and when will they be eased? Talk this morning of football going ahead behind closed doors or with a limited crowd. So people are clearly thinking about these things. There's nothing official yet from Boris and his government as to how it will be implemented. This week has also seen the PPE crisis, in inverted commas, seem to come and go. A lot of media frenzy about that, but seems to have gone quiet. They've found something else to talk about now. I think we'll turn our attention now to testing, because government have set themselves this target of 100,000 tests by the end of April. That's very cleverly now being sold as the capability to do 100,000 tests by the end of April. But because it is quite clear that where there is capacity, people are not always putting themselves forward to be tested. On the other hand, they opened up testing yesterday for all essential workers, and you got the impression that everybody took the opportunity of applying for a test, whether they were an essential worker or not, and whether they actually had symptoms or not. I think that's just indicative of the paranoia that's in the country at the moment. Turning again to PPE, clearly that is a huge logistics problem for people to get that quantity of equipment reliably and repeatably into the hospitals. I think we know the NHS supply chain in England isn't the most efficient, and that's certainly proved to be the case. They've had to have the army in to sort them out. I think as well, there seems to be a lack of realism amongst people. I heard one doctor on the television complaining that he felt the rules on the use of PPE had been changed because of the crisis. And you do wonder, well, what do you expect? I think in any sort of emergency, risks are re-examined. And I just think people don't appreciate that everything that we're doing in life involves a degree of risk and therefore a degree of danger. They seem to believe that there's a cotton wool covered world that will protect them. And I thought this was brought home when the BBC journalists were interviewing the people doing the vaccination trials, and they were just amazed that these people realised that they were taking a well-managed but calculated risk in going into the trials. It seemed to be beyond the understanding of the left-wing, London-centred BBC journalists. They've been such a disappointment. I think there's going to be such a backlash against the media as a result of this, especially at the BBC, who we look for a balanced view, and yet they've been totally unable to present that. So we'll see what happens to them. So that's the end of this week's blog. We'll see where we are next week. Take care, stay safe, and speak to you all next week.